we're just so honored that you would take the time to stop in South Carolina and join us here. But I mean, what is it about Chris? It seems like there's something just really easy and personal between you two that makes you want to come and spend some time with him.
Well, we met in California when he was doing an event out there. And then there was another event where I met you and listened to him talk, and I was like, anything I can do. Because I said this earlier when I was talking to some people outside, that he reminded me very much of Joe Biden. And Chris has that kind of centered, non-egocentric kind of personality. In other words, he's focused on issues that will help people and improve the lives of people, whether it's education or helping the vets or criminal justice reform. And when somebody's focused outward, they forget themselves, and you can see that their focus is out. And you can feel it in someone's body. You know, as actors, we can recognize who people are, whether they're uptight or whether they're concerned about themselves or whether they're boastful. And he's just centered.
All sides of you comes out in something like this. And for me, it's really powerful to see people to be able to connect to Chris that way. I've known him for nearly 15 years, and when we first started talking about him running for Congress, first words out of his mouth were, "This is about service. This is about how can we really make it about the people and their issues." And criminal justice reform is not something that would be on the top of a strategist list necessarily to talk about when you're running a congressional race, but it's that really important issue. It's the most urgent thing for us to be doing right now.
And I agree. And one of the things which I forgot to mention today, one of the things that causes that I work so hard on is Justice for Vets.
Yeah.
And Justice for Vets is an organization that is trying to get vets through drug courts instead of the normal criminal justice system if it's a nonviolent offense that they've committed. And the recidivism rate is 10%.
Yeah.
The normal recidivism rate in this country is 60%. Yeah. So imagine the difference, first of all, if we do this for our vets who deserve any kind of break they can rather than go through the normal criminal system and become a number and irrelevant and hopeless.
So I'm going to ask you a question you probably get a lot, but we were talking a little bit about inspiration, and I know for many of us, the president, Chris and I grew up, or my first political action was Chris drugged me out to go volunteer for Obama and make phone calls. And that was the first thing I ever did that was political. But Biden has been a huge inspiration. It's just putting that cool back in government. But for a lot of folks, like our staff.
Biden cool, I love it, yeah.
A lot of our staff and the young volunteers and the people who have really grown up with the idea of politics, it comes from the West Wing, and it comes from people like your characters like Toby. Did you have any idea that the show would have that kind of impact when you guys began filming?
None. In fact, in 2000, because we were accused of having an agenda, with Bill O'Reilly, I was on Bill O'Reilly's show, and he said, "Your show gets into people's living rooms," as if it was pornography, and I said, we have no sex, we have no violence, and we talk about
about issues.
Democracy. How is that offensive to you? But we were accused, Aaron Sorkin in particular was accused of having this political agenda, and I proved that wrong by saying in 2000 we actually, Gore actually won the election and was robbed of it, in my opinion. But in 2004, Bush actually won. So after 4 years of the West Wing being on air, we actually went backwards. If we had an agenda, we were failing big time. Yeah. But in 2008, after I was with Biden, going around with the debates and stuff, and I'd be surrounded by Obama's foot soldiers.
Yep.
All these kids, all these young kids.
Guilty.
You were one of them.
Yeah.
Like in Vegas and Charleston and wherever the debates were. And they would always surround me and they would say, "You're the reason why we're here." And I would say, "I'm so sorry." If you break down that election, it was the foot soldiers, it was the volunteers, it was all those West Wing nutcases that made the difference in the caucus states. And it was the caucus states that made the difference in the primary season. And he does not win without those foot soldiers.
No, not at all.
It's one of the things I talk about when we talk to the canvas people, the people who are knocking on doors and the phone banking.
Yeah.
You know, it makes a difference, and it's great to see. It's great to see people going out and doing the basic dirty work, if you will. It's not dirty, it's clean work, the basic clean work of grinding it out door to door and talking to people and spreading the word. And that's where democracy was born, and that's where it will be defended to its last.
Yeah.
To its
well,
last
I think it's safe to say that you guys inspired a whole new generation of political operatives and volunteers and people who just want to get involved for the spirit of democracy.
Here's something cool that I did not know.
Oh, yeah?
You know the show Hamilton?
Yep.
Well, I knew it was a great show, so I chose not to read about it at all. I finally got to New York and got my tickets, but I had noticed in the meantime that Lin-Manuel Miranda, who created the show and is playing Alexander Hamilton, was following me on Twitter. I was like, that's weird, and I followed him back, and that was it. You know, I just followed him, and he was a great Twitter guy. He wakes up Twittering.
You're pretty good at yourself.
No, I'm getting there lately. Baseball helped me a lot, the World Series. And then, anyway, my son and I picked up our tickets in front of the theater, and I took a selfie of me and my son and these tickets with Hamilton in the background, and I got a direct message from Lin-Manuel Miranda going, what show are you coming to? Because it was a Wednesday, it was matinee night. I said, the evening show. And that was it, didn't hear from him. Saw the show. From the very first note, I was in tears. It was the most amazing piece of art that I have ever seen in my life. Just phenomenal, okay? So afterwards, I'm being taken backstage, and with my son, and I see Lin-Manuel, and he comes walking up to me, and he puts his hand out, and I slap it away. Get out of here! Give me a hug, and then, but I was emotional because I was so moved by the play. I was like, just give me a second. I got to come up with the right words. And he started crying, and he said, "You don't understand. You're the reason why the show exists." And I went, I'm sorry. And he goes, you're the reason why this exists, the West Wing. We are all fanatics for the West Wing, and you inspired this show. He goes, didn't you see when I did this in that scene with Washington? And I went, yeah. He goes, I was showing off. I knew you were in the audience. This is something that Toby, did with CJ, and that scene, then that song, that was based on your episode with the blah blah. And it all is, you got to be in the room where it happens. That's a West Wing thing. It's all, and so I never felt more proud in my life.
I can imagine
that this what I consider to be the greatest piece of art that I've ever been in front of was I see a West Wing DVD box right there. That the greatest piece of art that I've ever been in front of. Was inspired in any way by something I was a part of. It was phenomenal. And then here's the other story. I got my family back, because now I was friends with everybody in the cast. And I got my family back because I wanted everyone to see it. And Chris Jackson, who plays George Washington, set us up because I had missed him. And he tweeted me going, come back, I'm so sad to miss you. He couldn't get 5 together for one show. He can't even get 1 for some of these shows. So I said, split it up. We could go matinee evening. So we flew back. We had 3 for the matinee and 2 for the evening. And I figured me and my wife would go in the evening and have a nice date.
There you go.
And my son and his girlfriend and my daughter would go together. And my son goes, I want to take it to Miriam on a date.
He had the same idea you did.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, Sheila goes, let's let him have a date. So we went to the matinee. It was phenomenal. We sat in the mezzanine. It wasn't quite 4th row, which I had been the first time, but phenomenal. Great. And then we went backstage again. It was like family reunion, and everybody knows everybody. And my son and Miriam met us so that they could meet them. And then we went off on our way, and Miriam and Gus had dinner, and then they went to the play. And at 8 o'clock, I got a text saying, don't be mad. And Sheila goes, what? And then there's a picture sitting right behind them in the 5th row is Bill and Hillary Clinton. And my wife has been wanting to meet Hillary since 1991. And it's like literally determined. One of the reasons I'm out here on the stump is for her. So that we might someday get invited to sit down for 7 seconds with Hillary. I'm not kidding. You want to know my motivation? That's my motivation.
Make the wife happy. There you
As
go.
much as any. She's so obsessed with Hillary Clinton. So to know that our son and his girlfriend, and then they send a text of a selfie with Miriam and Hillary.
Right.
And Sheila's going like, that's so great. That's so great for them. I'm so happy for them.
Doesn't know if she's ready to kill your son or you or just.
It was fascinating to see the dichotomy of loving that her son is having this amazing experience. It was a birthday present for his girlfriend.
Right.
And dying.
So close to the front and for Hamilton.
Dying, you know. And then Chris Jackson emails me going, I told Bill that you were here, and Bill goes, well, tell him I said hi, he's a good man. Because I knew Bill, I'd met Bill before.
Well, we're going to wrap up here because we got to get going, but just 2 quick questions about the election and quick hitters. So what do you think is the biggest challenge for Democrats moving forward after November?
Wow. Well, let's hope that they not only are in the Oval Office, but that we've gained some ground in the Senate and taken the Senate, and at least come close in the House, because the biggest issue to me is finding a way to create a coalition moving forward. We have been obstructionists in the House. We have seen them.
Right.
Gowdy,
got one right here.
Trey Gowdy is probably the biggest offender of that. I was telling a story about Biden earlier, where people used to cross the aisle, people used to come together, even in Clinton's era with Gingrich, and Hillary was one of those senators that was able to cross the aisle.
Phenomenal at that, yeah.
Phenomenal at that, and got a lot of work done. And we have reached an impasse, because I think this last resistance of the old world is like a wrestler about to be pinned, and they're stronger now than ever, even though their numbers are down, and it's creating, she's going up against a WME wrestler, and she's trying to fight by normal rules, and it's going to be difficult, but to find some way to heal this country and to come together again and move forward is primary. And then start getting to work on some of these issues, which is education, and the average American kid leaves college with a $33,000 debt. It's insane, and they want the economy to grow. How are you going to grow if you have the entrepreneurs that can't invest in themselves and have to worry about debt, or debt-free college, free college and public education? Criminal justice reform is huge. But on the international level, you're going to need somebody who understands the dynamic and the complexities of what's going on in this world. Chris Fedalei is the real deal. And there's if everyone in Congress, regardless of their political dispositions, had his energy and his focus towards listening and working, responding to the voices of people, regardless, this guy is phenomenal. He's smart, he's dedicated, and he's wonderful.
Vote for Chris Fedalei on November 8th.
Vote for Chris Fedalei on November 8th.